With watercolor, it's easier to leave the background white, but what if you want to have background for your painting? In this painting, I create background without using any masking fluid. If you've been subscribed to my channel for a while and get familiar with my style of painting, you probably realize that I normally don't use masking fluid unless it's very necessary. I apply warm color to one side of the painting and cool color to the other side to suggest where the lights come from. You can create some interest to the background by flicking clear water to create watercolor bloom. There are many reasons why I don't like to use masking fluid for most of my paintings. Number one, because it's time consuming to apply the masking fluid, and you also need to wait for it to dry at least 5 minutes. Number two, because it creates hard edges around my subject, and it also involves some time to lift the color and create soft edges. Number three, it's a good chance to practice your negative painting when you don't use masking fluid. Negative painting is a very important technique for watercolor painting, as we all know that in watercolor we don't use white to paint for most of the time. The white that's showing on watercolor painting is the white of the paper. Unless you want to have a little bit of a highlight, then you can get away with using whitewash. I let my background dry naturally, and then I block in the big shapes such as the grape. I drop in the yellow where the sun hit it and the green where it's in the shadow. And then again I define each grape by using negative painting. Sometimes I use lifting technique to create the highlight, and then I add darker pigment to the low light area. If you pay close attention, every single subject in this painting involves negative painting. When I'm happy how it looks, I add the reddish brown to the stem. Over here is a very tricky one when you paint green around the red. If you overlap and paint on the red will look too dark. So I have to use my negative painting and paint very carefully, not touching the red. For some artists, they might have masked the dragonfly with masking fluid before they start painting. That way they don't have to worry about any green getting on the red. With my apple, I'm working wet on wet using winter lemon as an undertone, and then I drop on my green, followed by the darker green, which is a mixture of the green that I use, and add a little bit of the red to the darkest area, and brown to the inner part and the stem for the final touch. I work very fast so that I could finish it in one go and don't have to revert for the second or third layer. This apple over here is not very important, so I make it blurry and I did not add much detail to it, but it's helped to complete my composition and also help to frame my flower. As I'm painting the green leaves around my daisy, I actually painting the petal of the white daisy at the same time. This is what I love about negative painting. And also, if I want to make any petal blurry or soft, I can do it just in one go. I don't have to remove the masking fluid and then remove the hard edges, which is very time consuming. For the flower that in the background, I will use a gray mixture that I mix to paint the petals, so that it appears less brighter than the flower that in the foreground. Here I'm using yellow to paint the center of the flower, and then I add brown to create texture. But I keep it very simple, paint just enough to show the three-dimensional, not planning to achieve photorealistic. Here I'm painting my grape again after it's dry completely, and then I drop on my mid-tone and soften it with clear water as I go, and also painting around and reshape my daisy under the dragonfly. Because I don't want to use masking fluid or whitewash because it tends to look too chalky, so I will have to leave some area for the highlight. When I'm happy how it looks, I add the dark tone to the low light area. Here you see me painting the basket using negative painting again. I give it a light brown wash for the first wash, and then I add my mid-tone without waiting for it to dry. I'm working wet on wet for the basket because I want it to look soft and blurry. It's not my focal point, but it's here to complement my green. Before I start this painting, I question myself a lot whether it's going to work because it contains a lot of green. I have never painted so much green in a painting before. This is green on green on green. But as I paint longer and get through this painting, and when I'm up to this point to paint the basket, I become certain that this painting is going to work. Here I'm painting the green background as well as shaping my white daisy, and sometimes I use my spray bottle to help the pigment to flow better. Adding a very light wash of warm gray to one side of the flower. This helps the flower look more three-dimensional, as it's showing that the center of the flower casting shadow on the petals. Wet on dry technique, adding brown and dark green to the shadow area. Having Windsor lemon as an undertone make my red look richer and brighter. I keep this dragonfly very simple, minimize all the details, just paint it enough to recognize the subjects, so that when I paint the dragonfly in the foreground, I have rooms to add a lot of details. This way it helps to create depth for our painting. I find the dragonfly very beautiful. This species of dragonfly, the wing is clear, but the vein on the wing has colors. The vein on the bottom of the lower wing is yellow and is transition to orange. And for the upper wing it's red and then it's transition to black. I don't follow my reference photo exactly, I just use it as a guide and get the pattern of the vein correctly, because with this size of painting I could not achieve too much detail. Glazing yellow to the bottom of the dragonfly's wing. Adding whitewash for the highlight to the eyes and also glazing a bit of whitewash to the wing. Adding a little brown dots for the final touch to our grapes. And I'm not doing it to every single grapes because some grape that is turning away you couldn't see it, and I only do it to the front grapes. For the grape that stay in the background I will just leave it blank. The lower wing of this dragonfly is broken, so I add another layer to the green to give more definition to the broken wing. The next morning I realized that my painting is lack in contrast, so I glaze another layers of green on top of some of the area that I think it should be darker. Over here I add darker green to the leaf. This helps to shape the petal even better and make the white look even more stand out. And then I also glaze on some of the apple which is in the focal point, and also the apple that's behind the dragonfly, so that it helps my red dragonfly pop and glowing. Adding a few red strokes to the top wings of this background dragonfly. I'm not gonna give too much detail to the veins on the wings because these dragonflies stay in the background, so you won't see much detail on it. Here I come again with the whitewash, trying to paint on the highlight area. If you like this painting, you could help support my channel by giving it a like, subscribe or comment. Thank you so much for staying till the end. Until next time, happy painting!